was a dull Wednesday afternoon at the military base. Most of the guys were passed out from drills catching up on laundry. A couple trainees were asked to head into town for a quick supply run, ramen, shampoo, some snacks. Nothing special. Jungkook wasn't on the list, but he asked to join. Seriously, one of the squad leaders said. You just got back from kitchen duty. Jungkook, I just want to get out for a bit. I'll stay low. Haven't left the base all week. Jungkook shrugged. Corporal, okay fine. Keep your mask on. The corporal interrupted and allowed him to do so. It wasn't about the ramen. It wasn't even about the fresh air. It was about doing something ordinary, picking out shampoo, holding a plastic shopping basket, standing in a boring line with regular people. Something he hadn't done without security or stairs in years. For a moment, he wanted to be anonymous, not BTS Jungkook. The market was small. Dusty aisles. Fluorescent lights flickering and buzzing overhead. He drifted away from the others for a moment, heading down the hygiene aisle. When suddenly, Jungkook had turned the corner too fast, bumping straight into someone, her basket slipping, her grocery items scattering across the floor. Oh no, I'm sorry. That's totally my fault, she blurted out. Jungkook, no, it's my fault. I'm sorry. Jungkook hunched down immediately, helping her collect the scattered items. When their eyes met, there was something out of the ordinary. They paused, not of confusion but recognition. He knew, she knew. She smiled politely. Guess I'll also need to watch where I'm going. Jungkook, no worries. Same here, my bad. He laughed. In her mind, no squealing, no. Her, aren't you just a girl, slightly embarrassed, brushing her hair behind her ear as she stood. Later, at the register, they ended up side by side again. She glanced at his basket and smirked and said, that ramen brand's weak, no spice at all. He giggled. Jungkook, that's what they give us at the camp, but I'm making it work. She laughed and paid for her things, walking off without another word. The moment stopped, not because she was beautiful, not because she didn't recognize him, because he had a feeling she did. It stopped because she let him be just a guy buying cheap ramen. Jungkook walked out of the market with his fellow trainees, bag in hand, ramen and so on. But his mind wasn't on the groceries. It was still stuck in aisle 4. The moment their eyes met, that 1 second window where she knew exactly who he was but didn't say it. He wasn't wearing much of a disguise, just a black mask, cap, and military uniform. It didn't take a superfan to recognize him. But she didn't flinch, didn't freeze, didn't switch her voice to that high-pitched tone people always used when they thought they were being subtle. She just let it slide. She let him be a guy with bad ramen taste. A stranger she bumped into. A man craving a piece of normal 𝚳𝙂, and he felt something in his chest shift. Not excitement, not infatuation, but relief, gratitude. Because for the first time in a long time, someone saw him and didn't ask for anything in return. No photo, no validation. Not even confirmation that it was really him. Just that soft smile, that teasing comment about spicy ramen. He can't move on. He keeps on replaying her look that said, know who you are. But today, you don't have to be him. That did something to him. It touched a part of him he didn't even know had been aching. Later that night, Lying on his bunk, he replayed it all again in his head. And in the quiet darkness, he smiled to himself. Maybe she'd forget him, but he wouldn't forget that feeling. That moment. Her. A few days later. During his free time, Jungkook found himself walking past the small cafe near the town. The one with cracked windows and a faded sign that read 𝙤𝙤. He almost turned away, but something pulled him in. Inside, the air smelled like roasted coffee and different kinds of tea bags. The bell chimed softly as he stepped in, catching the attention of a few regulars who glanced at the uniform and then back at their drinks. And then he saw her. Sitting alone at a corner table, earbuds in, sketchbook open in front of her. She was humming quietly to herself, the kind of soft sound. He hesitated by the door, wondering if she'd recognize him again. She did. But this time, instead of looking away, she tilts her head, smiled and said, 𝚤/N, what are you doing here? Without thinking, Jungkook bought a coffee and sat down beside her. 𝚤/N, stalking me now, she teased, peeling out one earbud. Jungkook, maybe. He laughed, rubbing the back of his neck. They talked for a while, about the weather, the best ramen spots in town, the weirdest parts of military training. She didn't ask about BTS, that he didn't mention it. For once, the world outside didn't exist. She made him feel normal again. Not a K-pop idol with millions watching his every move, but just a guy who bought bad ramen and enjoys cheesy jokes. When he reached out and gently brushed a stray hair behind her ear, she didn't pull away. Instead, she smiled that same quiet smile that said, 𝚤/N, I see you, just as you are. Days turned into weeks, then months, and their meetings became the part of his day Jungkook looked forward to most. Not the flashing cameras, the scripted interviews, or the endless rehearsals waiting on the other side of enlistment. They shared coffee and conversations, laughter and silences. One evening, after a late training session, Jungkook met her a message he had rewritten a dozen times before finally sending it. Jungkook, can I come by? Just to sit with you for a while. 𝚤/N, I'll be here, she replied quickly. When he arrived, the cafe was closed, but she was waiting just outside, holding 2 steaming cups of hot chocolate. The rain had started falling gently, and they ran together to her small apartment nearby, holding hands. Inside, she made him hot chocolate again. He watched the way her face softened when she wasn't pretending to be tough or busy. The way her eyes sparkled as she shared stories from college, her dreams, her fears. Jungkook, you're beautiful. Even before she can react, Jungkook leaned closer, voice barely whisper. Jungkook, can I kiss you? She smiled and nodded, and that kiss soft, hesitant, and full of everything, their first unguarded moment. For a few hours, they forgot the world outside, no idols, no soldiers. Just 2 people holding on to something fragile and beautiful. Their quiet romance stretched over the next few months. Most of the time, Jungkook chose to stay over instead of going home. During holidays and day-offs, he'd sneak through with his hoodie up, knock softly on her apartment door, and fall asleep with his head on her lap, exhaustion melting away in the comfort of her silence. They made more discreet grocery runs, deliberately choosing empty Aislis and late-night hours. She introduced him to 𝚤𝙴𝙽, He showed her how to fold military socks properly. He taught her how to embrace the chaos and beauty of the world around her. She taught him how to live a simple life, how to find peace in the quiet moments, theons that didn't require a stage or a spotlight. They both taught each other how to love. What they had wasn't flashy. It wasn't loud, but it was real. And it became the quiet part of his day that he needed the most. But time isn't kind to people like them. His discharge was near. The normal life was slipping through his fingers. On their final weekend together, she surprised him with a tiny cake, his favorite one, and a quiet, intimate that lit her apartment. Her apartment, the one that had become Jungkook's sanctuary, his comfort zone in a world that often felt too big. He adorably laughed at the surprise, the sound echoing in her cozy place. She pretended to laugh too, but when he wasn't looking, she let a tear slip quietly down her cheek. "Jungkook, I don't want to leave this, us." "YN, me neither. But you were never meant to stay." The words lingered in the air, heavy between them. The entire night and in between kisses, Jungkook clung to a fragile hope, a hope that maybe even after he was pulled back into the whirlwind of his idol life, there could still be a way to hold on to him, to hold on to them. Before they parted, she handed him a letter, her hands trembling just like the sheet. Inside were her sketches, each one unique. His hands reaching for ramen at her kitchen table, their secret coffee orders, a lyric 𝚃𝙸𝙰𝙀, now scribbled in the corner of her page. At the very back, a final note, written. "I didn't fall for the idol. I fell for the boy who just wanted to feel small again. I may not be at the front row, but my heart will always root for him." Jungkook's breath caught in his throat as he read, his hands shaking. His chest feels tight and every breath is a struggle. He looked up at her, his eyes wet, his voice breaking. "Jungkook, but can I at least see you, call you? Once everything settles." It was heavy to take in. She cups his face with both of her hands. "YN, I'm sorry. We live in two different worlds, Dr. Jungkook, and I'm just a small town girl. I don't belong in your world and don't think I can." Jungkook's heart stuttered in his chest that he stepped forward, his voice pleading, desperate, raw. "Jungkook, what if I leave it all behind, the idol life, the fame, everything? I love you, YN." It's the first time he said it. The words were out before he could stop them, heavier than the silence that followed. She shook her head slowly, a single tear falling from her eye. "YN, Army needs you. I love you too, but they love you first."